This is a simple pendulum having a thread and heavy metal round cylindrical. You can see the time period of oscillation depends upon length. If it is short length, it is very small time period. If it is long length, it is more time. If it is very long length, you can see that large time period comes. As the length increases, time period also increases. This is not ordinary pendulum. It is a magnetic pendulum. It has got a very strong magnet, neodymium magnet. And this magnet has no attraction for copper because copper is diamagnetic. But here you can see a magic behavior by copper, and this magnetic pendulum, I am going to make the swing in special way. Observe the motion of copper plate. It is surprising that the copper plate is going around with magnet. Actually, scientific reason behind it. This is diamagnetic, and when a magnet moves over this copper plate, it induces eddy currents, and those eddy currents will have magnetic field generation, and that field will try to stop the motion of magnet. So the copper plate will always try to oppose the motion of magnet, and in opposing this motion, the copper plate is set into a spinning motion. Very interesting demo. It is a diamagnetic. Now if we replace this and make a paramagnetic like this flag, and if I adjust the pendulum so that we are getting almost touching but not exactly touching, almost touching, that much length we have to adjust, and here we are getting that length fit properly. And now you can see that this aluminum slab and this magnet has no attraction. It is paramagnetic, but we can say that if I set the pendulum in motion, I am getting very free oscillations. But if I keep the slab here and leave the pendulum, suddenly it stops. Now question is, it is not touching, but it is stopping. The reason is again the eddy currents and opposition to the motion of magnet. Here is one wonderful demo experiment. I am having a cylinder, a coil having large number of turns, 3000 turns, and a pair of wires going to array of LEDs, 4 LEDs. They are connected back to back, anode cathode parallel. Now I can show you a magic like flash here. I can shake this and I can generate flash. So by shaking this, I can generate flash. It is nothing but Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. When I make this fast movement, I am getting current generated, and that gives a flash in LED, and that is E is equal to minus d phi by dt, rate of change of magnetic flux with time. But for that you require a strong magnet inside this coil. I am having a very strong magnet kept inside this cylinder, and it is floating in air. In the cylinder it is floating in air. Now you may ask how you can keep the magnet floating. Very simple. At the bottom I am having one more magnet, powerful neodymium magnet also, and there is repulsion, and one more magnet on the top, and there is repulsion. So you can say south south, north north, like poles are facing, and I can prove that one magnet is here, one magnet is here, and one magnet is in the center of the coil. So I can say that the two magnets are holding the middle magnet in suspension. It is like a spring up and down, and here when I make this up and down, I get flash. But if I make a slow motion, now you are not getting flash at all. Now question is, why there is no flash in slow motion? The answer is very simple. Answer is, when I make slow motion, magnet 1, 2, 3 and coil all are going at the same speed up and down. They are going at the same speed up and down because the inner magnet is kept compressed by this and this magnet by repulsion, and there is no relative motion between inner magnet and coil. And if there is no relative motion, there is no current generation. There is no change of flux, rate of change of flux. So no current, no EMF and no flash. But high speed motion, there is flash. Okay, thank you. Yes, here is a magic bulb. When I touch these 2 points, you see the bulb is on. Actually, how it works is very simple. When I touch these 2 points, some current goes through my finger. That current may be some microamperes, a few microamperes, or a few tens of microamperes. But this current is amplified by very large amount using a Darlington pair of 2 NPN silicon junction transistors. So 2 NPN silicon junction transistors, if they have gain of 100 and 200, overall gain is 100 into 200, that is 20,000. Such a high gain can make the current from microampere to several amperes also. I can show you what is inside this bulb. It is my own assembly creation. You have 2 wires, 1 circuit, 1 battery, it is 3 mobile cells, lithium ion, small 3.7 volt battery, and I am having a circuit in small compact form and LED panel affixed on the top, and if I put it back and I touch, I get conductivity. Now I can touch by right and left hand, I get conductivity. I can touch here, I get conductivity. My forehead also is conducting. Now I can touch here, yes, it conducts. But you can observe that at some places it is somewhat less because ohmic resistance is more. Now many students ask me the question that what is the relation between this right and left hand, or what is the relation between the 2 tips when I touch one finger, or when I touch forehead, what is the ohmic resistance? And this question is very difficult to answer because you can't measure ohmic resistance by multimeter in skin by skin touching. There is a problem with contact and connectivity. But I have invented one method, very simple method, to guess how much is the body conductivity, body resistance. I can show you innovation. I am having a holder. Now I have a bulb fit into the holder, and if I touch the 2 by hand, my bulb is on. It is very simple holder, and I can touch to my forehead, so it glows, and if I touch by one finger, so it glows, and if I dip into the water and I have both ends in water, that also will glow. It glows, yes. Now question is how to measure the resistance between these 2. I have developed a method using this lux meter. This lux meter measures the light intensity, and this lux meter has a sensor here, that is LDR like sensor, and it has cover, and when I remove this sensor cover, my sensor is ready for measuring the light intensity. Now I made one very simple setup for measurement of intensity at different places and different locations. Now here you can see that I am putting a slot cover, and by putting this cover I am covering this entire side, and I can make the background also minimum using this box covering. So I am covering using this box also. Fine. I will show you once again. This is the plastic bottle cut, and this is the cover, and I am putting this. Now to cover this transparent, I covered this also. Now I will put this on the top. Now my sensor will get light only from this bulb. because I cut all the surrounding from light. And if I touch this, you can see the glowing. I can see the light. Now, if I am able to read this, yes, I can read the current here. I can read the lux here. Now, how much is the intensity of light? I can take the reading, and this reading will give me measurement of intensity of light in lux. And I have taken several readings by connecting a resistance. You can see the plenty of resistances are there, and I can connect a resistance between this and this point. That is, I get some current, I get some light, I get some reading, and I can change the range also if I want. Yes, I can change the range, and I can take this reading here also, different R. I can take 1K, 10K, 100K, 1 meg, 10 meg, so many ohmic value. I got a big collection, and every resistance different step by step. If I take the readings for lux, I am able to calibrate my lux meter reading with my resistance, and using that calibration graph, which is a falling graph, common sense, when R will increase, the lux will fall, lux will decrease, intensity of light will decrease. So when I put some mega ohm resistance, I get very less light intensity, and if I put some kilo ohm resistance, I get large intensity, and if I make a short circuit, I get the brightest light. So it is common sense. I am getting this full intensity, then short circuit is there, and if I make 1 meg, 10 meg, I get very less. And in a way, I am able to plot the graph and calibrate the whole curve, and this graph is somewhat like this. Okay, you can get the graph, you can get the judgment of the graph, and on this graph, I will now touch by two hands, I get some reading. I touch by one finger, I get some reading. I touch by my two tips to my forehead, I get some reading. And those readings I'll check on the graph will correspond to which R value. Very nice way of guessing the conducting path, resistance, and this gives a joy to learn. And I'll tell you some interesting findings. When I short circuit, it is 0 ohm. When I put it in water, it is about 10 kilo ohm. When I put on my forehead, it gives me about 80 kilo ohm. When I have the wet hands, water and wet hands, I get about 100 kilo ohm. If I put two hands press, I get 300 kilo ohm. If I put two hands with loose contact, I get 500 kilo ohm. See, press different and loose contact different, because conductivity changes with touch. Very interesting. And finally, if I use single finger, I get about 800 kilo ohm, because single finger has got high resistance there. So this is one innovative way of measuring unknown resistance using a lux meter. It is